Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to do a deep dive into low-code platforms.
Sounds good.
You know, everyone's talking about low-code development, but
Yep.
what does it really mean?
Yeah, well, in a nutshell, it's all about building software applications
Okay.
without writing tons and tons of complex code.
So it's like a shortcut.
Yeah, you could say that.
Interesting.
Yeah, and we'll be looking at
Okay.
a specific platform called Jmix.
Jmix, okay.
It's built on Java, and we'll cover, all the cool features and, advantages and some really interesting real-world examples.
I love real-world examples.
Yeah, and just to give you a little sneak peek, we'll even be talking about how Jmix was used to create a full-blown ERP system
Wow.
out of what started as a really simple contract management tool.
Okay, now that's what I call a happy accident.
It really is quite a story. The way low-code is changing things is fascinating.
Yeah.
Traditionally, you needed a whole team of programmers to build complex software.
Right.
But with platforms like Jmix, even business users with
Right. Yeah.
limited coding experience can create these powerful applications.
That's pretty amazing. So can we break down this low-code idea a bit more?
Sure.
It's about using pre-built components and templates. So it's kind of like building with Legos, right?
Yeah, that's a great analogy. It's like
Yeah.
you're visually assembling the application piece by piece using these pre-built blocks of functionality.
Yeah.
And these blocks represent, pretty
Right.
complex stuff like data management, user interfaces, business logic, and Jmix gives you all of this.
So it takes care of the complicated stuff.
Yeah, and lets you focus on solving the business problems.
Got it.
Rather than, getting bogged down in code.
So less time coding, more time getting things done.
Exactly.
I can see why businesses are excited about this, but how does it actually empower those business users?
Okay, good question.
Yeah.
So let's think about it this way.
Hmm?
Let's say you're a marketing manager who needs a custom app
Yeah.
to track campaign performance.
Okay, I can see that.
Now, in the past, you'd have to, write up this detailed requirement document,
Right.
send it off to IT, and then wait weeks or even months for a solution.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, but with Jmix, they could potentially build a basic version themselves.
No way.
Yeah, using a visual drag-and-drop interface.
Wow.
So they're not waiting on anyone.
Yeah.
They can respond to the changing business needs much faster.
That's amazing. It's like those business users become tech innovators themselves.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about the general benefits of low code, but let's focus on Jmix specifically.
Sure.
What are some of the features that make it stand out?
Okay, well, one of the most impressive things about Jmix is its model-driven development approach.
Okay, so what does that mean exactly?
Think of it like building a house before you start laying bricks. You have a blueprint, right?
Of course.
So in Jmix, you create this visual model of your application first.
Yeah.
You define the data structure relationships, even the business processes. It's like having a blueprint
I see.
that everyone can understand, even if they don't know how to code.
So it's all about creating a shared understanding before you start building.
Right, and it makes the development process much more transparent and collaborative, especially when you have both technical and non-technical people working on a project.
Okay.
And then it gets even more interesting. Jmix doesn't abandon its Java roots.
What do you mean?
It offers full Java support,
Okay.
so you can extend the functionality of the app with custom code whenever you need to.
So it's not like either. It's more like you have both.
Yeah, you get that ease of visual development and the power of Java when you need more flexibility.
I like that flexibility.
Yeah, and on top of that, Jmix comes with built-in tools for business logic, data management, and modern UIs.
So it's pretty comprehensive.
It really is.
I'm impressed. But do you have any real-world examples of how Jmix has been used to solve, real business challenges?
Oh, absolutely. We've got some pretty compelling case studies. One that comes to mind is DSS Workflow Hero.
Okay.
It's a process management tool we developed with Bosch Rexroth Hungary.
I've heard of them.
They needed a system to manage these really complex processes across all these different departments. And Jmix let us build them a solution with a very user-friendly interface
That's right.
where they could design, manage, and track all their processes.
Nice.
And of course, they also get sophisticated reports and real-time analytics.
So it was a big step forward for them.
Yeah, it was a big step towards digital transformation.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So it sounds like Jmix can handle some pretty complex stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And speaking of Jmix's ability to adapt and grow with a company, we have another pretty interesting story.
Oh, this one is almost too good to be true.
Oh, I love those.
It's the story of how we at DSS Consulting accidentally built a full-blown ERP system,
Wait, what?
all thanks to Jmix.
You're kidding. Yep.
So it all started back in 2018. We needed a simple contract management system.
Okay.
We looked at some off-the-shelf solutions,
Makes sense.
but none of them really fit our specific needs. We also wanted the freedom to customize and adapt the system as our business grew.
So you decided to build your own. That's pretty bold.
It was. We chose Cuba, which was the predecessor to Jmix,
Okay.
for its speed, its open source nature, and affordability.
Makes sense.
Our developers worked on the project in their downtime, and believe it or not, within a few months, we had a working beta version.
Wow, so you were already up and running.
Yeah, and then we just kept adding features and integrating it with other systems.
So it just kept growing.
Yeah, it started handling everything from HR and finance to project management.
So you basically stumbled upon an ERP system? That's incredible.
I know, right? It's like finding a $20 bill in your old jacket pocket.
So what did you call this this accidental creation?
We call it Jupiter.
Jupiter, I like it.
And the funny thing is, even though we built Jupiter for ourselves, other medium-sized companies started showing interest.
Really?
Yeah. It really highlights how Jmix can empower companies to create solutions that not only solve their own problems, but can have a much broader impact.
Jupiter, the accidental ERP. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so, but hold on a second. DSS Consulting also uses Microsoft Power Platform, right?
We do.
So how does Jmix stack up against that? What are the key differences?
That's a question we get a lot. Both Jmix and Microsoft Power Platform are considered low-code platforms, but they do have different strengths.
Okay.
Jmix, as we've been discussing, has that deep Java integration, making it ideal for organizations that have Java expertise or those who want to build highly customizable, complex applications.
Gotcha.
And it's also open source, which means transparency and community-driven development.
So it's all about collaboration.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
Okay.
What about Microsoft Power Platform? What sets it apart?
Well, Power Platform excels in its low-code or even no-code environment. It's built around this thing called Dataverse.
Dataverse.
You can think of it as a cloud database where all the Power Platform tools store and manage data.
Okay, so it's like the central hub.
Exactly. It has components like Power BI for data visualization, Power Apps for building apps, Power Pages for websites, Power Automate for automating workflows, and even Power Virtual Agents for chatbots.
Wow, it has a tool for everything.
It does, and it's incredibly accessible even for people with absolutely no coding experience.
So you're saying anyone can jump in and start creating solutions?
Pretty much. And to illustrate just how powerful this can be, I want to share this story
Okay.
about a warehouse worker at Jaguar Land Rover who, after a workplace accident,
Okay.
started exploring Power Platform.
Wow.
And get this, within 2 years, he developed over 160 applications for the company.
That's incredible. Talk about unlocking hidden potential.
It really shows how low code can empower anyone to become a tech innovator.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So DSS Consulting has experience with Power Platform too, right?
Yes, we do. We mainly use it for clients who are already using MS Dynamics as their ERP system, since it integrates seamlessly with that environment. For instance, we're currently using it to develop an automated test documentation application that uses generative AI for a client.
Oh, wow. So you're combining low code with AI.
Exactly, and it's going to save them a ton of time and money on test documentation.
That's a great example of how those two technologies can work together to make businesses more efficient. So we've talked a lot about Jmix and Power Platform.
Yeah.
But are there any other low-code platforms worth mentioning?
Definitely. There are other popular platforms like Mendix, Zoho Creator, and Salesforce Lightning.
Wow, so many options.
Yeah, each with their own strengths and weaknesses.
It seems like the low-code landscape is pretty diverse.
It really is, and it's constantly evolving.
It's amazing how quickly this field is changing.
It is, and it's only going to get more exciting from here.
So it seems like there's a lot to choose from in the low-code world.
There really is, and it's constantly evolving with new platforms and features coming out all the time.
So we've covered quite a bit about Jmix and some other platforms, but why should our listeners really care about this low-code thing?
That's a good question, right? Because, when you look at the big picture, low code is a game changer in tech. It's changing how software is made, who can create it, how quickly it gets deployed.
So it's not just for tech companies or programmers anymore.
Exactly. It's opening doors for businesses and individuals across industries.
So anyone can potentially benefit.
Exactly. Think about it. Let's say you're a small business owner who wants to automate some tasks. Or maybe you're a department head trying to streamline processes. Or even a student with a great app idea.
I see where you're going with this.
Yeah, low-code platforms like Jmix or Power Platform give you the tools to make it happen. They offer a way to build solutions quickly and affordably without needing a whole team of coders.
So it's like giving people the power to become creators instead of just users of technology.
Absolutely. And those examples we talked about, like DSS Workflow Hero Jupyter, the warehouse worker turned developer, they all show just how transformative this can be.
Those are some pretty inspiring stories. So we've explored Jmix in depth, looked at some real-world examples, and touched on the wider low-code landscape. What are your thoughts on the future of all this? Where do you see it going?
Well, what I find really interesting is how low-code is merging with other really cool technologies like AI and machine learning.
Oh yeah, I've been hearing a lot about that.
Yeah, we're seeing AI-powered low-code platforms that can automate even more of the development process, meaning even less manual coding. And this empowers those citizen developers to create really sophisticated solutions.
So basically, low code is becoming even lower code, or even no code with AI.
Exactly. And I think this is just going to accelerate in the coming years. We'll have even more intuitive drag-and-drop interfaces, those AI assistants that can predict what you need, and even self-learning systems that optimize apps based on user behavior. That line between traditional coding and low code will get blurrier and blurrier, creating all sorts of possibilities for innovation.
It sounds like an exciting time to be in tech. But with all this talk about how great low code is, are there any downsides? Are there any potential challenges or limitations we need to be aware of?
That's an important question to ask because while low-code has a lot of advantages, it's also important to be realistic about it.
So it's not a perfect solution.
Well, one potential challenge is vendor lock-in. Some platforms can make it hard to move your applications or integrate them with other systems. So you really have to look closely at a platform's openness and flexibility before you commit.
So it's like choosing a set of tools you want to use for the long run.
Exactly. Another thing to consider is security.
That's always a concern.
Right. Low-code platforms often come with built-in security features, but it's important to understand how those features work and to use proper security measures, especially when you're dealing with sensitive data.
So just because a platform is easy to use doesn't mean we can forget about security best practices.
Definitely. And finally, it's important to remember that low code, while powerful, isn't a magical solution for everything.
Okay, so it has its limitations.
Yeah, it won't solve every single problem or completely replace traditional coding.
Right, it's not a silver bullet.
There will always be times when custom coding is needed for specific things or unique business needs. So the key is to understand the strengths and limitations of low code and choose the right tool for the job.
It's all about using the right tool for the right task. Low code can be great for certain applications, but it's not one size fits all.
Well said. The success of any low-code project depends on careful planning, clear requirements, and understanding the platform's capabilities.
So it's about empowering people to become tech creators, but it's also about being strategic and following best practices.
Absolutely.
Okay, so as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of low code, I want to leave our listeners with a final thought to ponder. We talked about how technology is constantly changing and how there's a growing need for software solutions. So could low-code platforms be the key to unlocking more innovation and efficiency in your own field? How could you use tools like Jmix or Power Platform to streamline your processes, automate tasks, or even create completely new applications? It's definitely something to think about.
I think those are really important questions for everyone to consider. The tools are out there, the potential is huge, and the future of low-code is looking incredibly bright.
That's a great note to end on. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the exciting world of low code. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring all that technology has to offer.